Again, they were winning at 20 minutes. It's not that big of a struggle. NIP needs to level up a little bit. These players need to coalesce together just a bit more for this to be very, very promising for them. We're going to see a Malphite first pick lock-in as NIP. First pick in Team WE ended up taking the blue side.
And last time we saw this, I mean, we talked about it last game in the pre-show, Yanni. Guwon went for the unsealed spellbook and was a little bit more creative with the build path. I think something that has really been rising in priority is obviously Zeke's is the big first item for Malphite jungle, but then going the Protoplasm Harness gives you a lot more survivability and just allowing you to stay in fights a lot more relevantly. Even after you've expended that ultimate, you can still stick around and actually do stuff in the fight because of that extra little bit of health. Now though, WE, I think while Malphite jungle is a really good champion right now, Yanni, it's a very expensive pick because you are basically locking yourself into banning away that Sylas, and also you might want to ban away that Trundle as well because it can get picked and immediately take away those tank stats. So unless NIP are looking to go for another frontliner and kind of have a double tank comp here, I feel like this Trundle is just going to have so much value in taking Guwon out of a lot of these extended fights that he wants to be a part of by going that Protoplasm Harness.
Really like NIP's response to the lock-in of Aphelios. They go in for Jinx, and then it's up to them. Do we want the Thresh for the Jinx, or do we want to let WE have it? Because trying to lock down a Jinx's Thresh is tough.
Yeah.
NIP has that lockdown already with that Malphite ultimate onto the Aphelios. It seems like WE's only answer can be this Nautilus, which they will lock in. Could have also gone an Enchanter if you wanted. Thresh typically has a hard time in lane with them. Now to the second half here, Quax looking for solo laners for both of these squads. You need something more on Team WE's side to make sure that Aphelios and Trundle specifically can get in these fights.
And both of these teams lacking innate magic damage at the current moment, which kind of surprises me that Team WE are going in the direction of banning away available top laners instead of available mid laners to try and maybe exploit the weakness of the fact that both of these teams have opted not to go for their mid laners yet, which means no magic damage is in the damage profile at the current moment. NIP, though, are deciding to do that, banning away Karis' patented Akali, and his Sylas is already taken away. So Karis, even though this man can play mages, I think it's no hot take to say that he definitely looks his best on the more front-loaded, lane-aggressive champions like the Sylas and Akali. So I think you're removing some of his best characters from the game, which you absolutely need to do, given that he popped off in game number 1 on Rise.
I really like these Team WE bans. Take out those carries, because Hoya typically doesn't play carries that much. He's much more of a tank player, but are you really going to pick a tank into a Trundle? Like, that's the question. And now when Hoya says, all right, I'm going to pick a carry, you have a lot fewer, options. Yeah, especially because Renekton is now getting locked in. So it looks like he'll elect to split the difference, picking up this Gnar. A little bit more teamfight prowess as well for NIP.
Also just a really good counter into the Renekton. It's so difficult for Cube to actually find these trades onto the Gnar. He's just too damn slippery for the Renekton. Not to mention, he can also wait out that Dominus really, really effectively, even when he's in Mega form. You've got so much CC to just be able to kind of exfiltrate a fight with this Renekton. So I like this matchup here for Hoya. It also is a good counter to the Trundle, like you said, being able to split the difference. And now with that Aurora lock-in, it really signals to me that, Yanni, our eyes need to be on Assum and they need to be on Care. This is a team that is very good at front to backing, but the damage aspect of this team is solely reliant on the Jinx and on the Aurora. And if they get behind in this game, WE are going to have a very good time.
Looks like Mel will be the pick for Team WE. She's still the same as she ever was for now. She is going to be getting some changes in the future. But for right now, it is the classic Mel we all know and love. So going to have opportunities to block out that Thresh hook. I don't think it serves much of the purpose of trying to get Monki into these fights a little bit more. Obviously, you have your roots, but you're really just relying on that and Yaoyao's hook. That being said, NIP, those are the guys who are looking to engage, so maybe the fight will just come to Monki in the end.
This is exactly what we kind of talked about in game number 1, where NIP were stock full of engage tools to start up fights and wanted to be the guys initiating every single time we saw a scrap around the map. And Team WE were kind of the guys who needed to take that damage and then dish it back out. And I feel like this is kind of the same story here, Yanni, where you've got things like the Dominus, you've got things like the Subjugate, you've got the ability to take this damage and then kind of push back a little bit. And so I think that Team WE, we did see some early game difficulties in game number 1, obviously. It's no secret that they tried to overforce on a lot of angles and a lot of timers that were maybe not the best angles and timers to force at. This game, though, you need to be a little bit more aware of that. You're on a champion like Trundle who does have early game power, but if you exploit that or you go too far with it, if you don't know when to hit the dang brakes, then he could lose his best point of strength, and that could set Team WE very, very far behind, maybe in a gold lead at 20 minutes that they can't come back from for the first time in LPL 2026.
This time around, I think Team WE will have a bit better of an early presence. It's very difficult when the main driver of your team, as we call him all the time, Monki, on something like a Mundo, a little bit harder to dictate the pace of the game. A little bit easier on this Trundle, especially with the ability of Yaoyao to make some picks happen. Really want to see those guys link up. So we're getting a couple of late Gyos in.
Assum and Zhuo just jockeying for any kind of aggression that they possibly can. Heal popped already.
Good flight. You know, Quax, I want to speak on the Gyos for a second. It looks like the players have been prepared to start the game earlier, but the fans have not.
No.
They are not gyroing as soon as they get in, you know, like they were last time. You know, the game would pull up at like a minute, and now it's pulling up at like 20 seconds, and it feels like they're unprepared. We need the fans to adjust a little bit.
I mean, I remember, you know, going on as a guest last summer split and being not necessarily scolded, but like, oh, Quax doesn't know about the fans cheering at the beginning of the game. And now I do, and I gotta say, I'm a little bit saddened by the lack of cheering. I want to be silenced for the first 20 seconds of the game. Rest my voice before the inevitable mess that we're going to be putting ourselves in for the next 30 to 40 minutes, potentially.
You're right, but you know what? Again, a new season, we're still seeing players and teams adjust. It's okay for the fans to adjust, but they gotta pick this up by playoffs. We're looking for the fans to have some progressions. Monki walking in, trying to be a little aggressive here, but Guwon will be able to claim the Grump as Monki will take a bite out of the blue buff, but he wants to stick around a little bit here. Do anything he can just to disrupt Guwon, as Zhuo and Assum are like, I think we have to go help him.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely want to, but as far as combat power goes, we talked about it, Trundle is just too dang strong at this point. He's got the PTA as well, so you have to be really careful about starting up a fight against him, but they're going to try anyway.
Oh, hook misses, and now they go for Guwon, but the Dark Passage will be able to get him out. Good start here for the Team WE jungler.
Not having to burn any of those flashes as well does give them, or does keep them in safety with any potential more aggressive plays coming out from Monki, but still like to see this Trundle flexed early, just trying to be as aggressive as possible, cause as much mayhem in the inaugural minutes of this game as possible. And what will result is Guwon getting his blue buff taken away and also getting double crabbed. So a CS lead coming out here for the Trundle, and this just means that Guwon is going to be a little bit more delayed in getting toward that level 6 timer. That is the big mark that we're looking at for this Malphite to really start impacting the map.
Going to be a lot harder. He lost his blue buff. He lost one of the crabs. Anything that you can do to speed bump these champions that really get a power spike when they hit level 6 is so beneficial for the game, and Monki is a jungler who tries to take advantage of that at every moment that he can. Seeing Karis take his first back and teleport in here as he's gotten the better of Care so far in this matchup in terms of CS, and we need Care to step up a little bit. You know, in that last game, he did make some nice early plays, but it felt like his efficacy waned as it went on. Two mid laners that are so similar when it comes to their last season, looking for some glow-ups coming through, and so far Karis has delivered.
And for the case of Care, I mean, it's on a different environment, right? We mentioned it a little bit earlier in the stream, but this is the first team outside of the FPX pipeline that he has been a part of. So adjusting to this new environment, adjusting to this new team, and, you know, in a way, I guess having a fire lit under him, because now he doesn't have the protection of being in the good graces of that organization, means that he's got to work hard to, you know, make himself an individual talent, that he has to stand on his own 2 feet, like we have praised Karis for doing. So that is what we're expecting from Care in this game. Like we said, the Aurora imperative that this gets ahead in order to secure that damage profile for the NIP comp. Him and Assum, we are definitely staring down these guys to be the main tip of the sword when it comes to this comp.
Guwon hanging around the bot side, but he's still only level 5. So he's just going to be rocking around. You know, maybe he'll walk up and throw a seismic shard at somebody. It looks like he's going to be on a collision course with Monki in just a minute, immediately turn tail. And that means that it's hard for Care to do a whole lot right now when Monki is always around. You've talked about it. Monki does a good job of walking through, making sure he shows up just like this. Try to help Karis out in any way he can. Bot lane, hook into the chompers. This is a problem for Yaoyao. He doesn't really have a way out. Dark passages get him a little bit closer. Double root is there, but Yaoyao turns around and goes down. It's first blood over to Assum.
Yeah, Yaoyao understanding that he's definitely dead and just trying to make sure that once the Get Excited passive goes through, the chase down onto his AD carry is not possible. Assum does get the kill, but Yaoyao just trying to make sure that it doesn't go beyond that. As good opening here for NIP. Assum was the main carry of game number 1 and was the main tip of success. As, hold on, Guwon has spotted out his red maybe being taken here. Monki does not have smite, so he's actually forced to concede that, and now is seen on vision, so they know where this Trundle is and can definitely track him from there on out. Guwon should hit level 6 by the next time him and Monki do encounter one another, and that is a good thing for NIP. The game pace hasn't really been accelerated at the current moment, at least not in WE's favor. So this will just allow them to maybe fight for this dragon or these grubs that are spawning in about a minute at full strength and with those R keys that we highlighted so much.
Gonna get your pick of the litter, and if you're Team WE, maybe you're setting a bit more of a focus on grubs. Trundle, even in the jungle, will still be able to make great use of them and still be a very strong split pusher. And, you know, they're able to do that simply because Malphite's not really a champion that will be able to easily solo the dragon in a reasonable amount of time. It'll take him a little bit,
yeah,
unless his bot lane comes to help him out. You know, credit to his bot lane for getting ahead, but it is very difficult to move about in Yaoyao for the moment, provided Yaoyao doesn't make another mistake like he did.
And I mean, the item difference between the AD carries isn't even that big. You look, they both have BF Sword. Assum's got a slingshot over his counterpart. And, you know, if Glowing Moat didn't exist, I feel like this would be the item that gets memed on the most.
Well, Glowing Moat's kind of good now if you take Jack of all trades.
That's true.
A Glowing Moat will get you to...
so is Slingshot the new meme item then?
I mean, I guess. I don't... All right. I know the Slingshot's not good, but I don't hate the Slingshot.
Yeah, but it's Yanni, it's a slingshot.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's not the greatest item. So with grubs being done on the top side, NIP have realized this is probably happening. So Guwon has the R button. He's ready to use it. About as like, Yaoyao, please. All right, Yaoyao's got to stay under the turret here. The root's going to go down onto Zhuo, so that turret's going to be doing some damage. Moonlight Vigil coming out as well. Dark Passage to try to get him out, and he will be able to escape. It's Zhuo taking him out, and now round 2 potentially. About's got red-white, but he has to get away from the turrets, trying to escape. You mentioned it. About flashes away.
Yep.
So, 1-0 in the end.
Good cross-map play coming in here from Monki, especially because he also secured the grubs for himself. So this means not only will they be able to bully Hoya off of this lane, but they'll also maybe be able to collect a plate for their efforts. As now, I mean, the tempo is a little bit in WE's favor. Even though NIP get a successful playdown on the bot side, you can see that Zhuo is roaming up toward the top side. Guwon is completely alone, and now Assum has to reset. So all of these factors contributing to not being able to get the dragon and not being able to equalize in the objective department here.
And this is very difficult, I think, for NIP as a whole. You know, you have good scaling over on the side of Team WE. Obviously, the AD carries for both sides are good, but I think that a Monki is going to be problematic as the game goes on, especially in these side lanes. I would say that it's, you know, hey, NIP should be the one to pick up these dragons, but the fact that they haven't quite yet does mean there will be some difficulty. Will we even see a soul this game? Who knows, Quax?
I feel like it really has to be NIP looking for these dragons, because not only are you a team that scales in items, especially when you look at champions like Jinx and, you know, the infinitely stacking passive of characters like the Thresh, but it's Mountain. Like, this extra little bit of tankiness for champions like Gnar and Malphite and Thresh, who love armor, is absolutely massive for just being more durable in these fights. So I feel like the imperativeness that you have to be playing around this dragon just isn't being shown here for NIP. And I mean, you've got Shove in bot lane. I feel like now you got to start looking at angles to really pull the trigger on this objective and maybe get a fight started.
Another round here for Guwon. He's going to show on this control ward, but we do have Team WE trying to collapse. Meanwhile, in the top side, Hoya is getting some damage in onto Cube. Bot play disperses after a Pillar of Filth. Karis getting first move, pretty huge. Given the fact that, look at the CS differential coming out right now. It's about 25. I mean, Mel, one of those annoying champions to deal with, but he has done so well so far.
Yeah, I mean, Karis just has basically a stranglehold over priority here in the mid lane. That's just how it's going to work with Mel, because you're so good at having that range and so good at dissuading and disengaging any fight that might come your way. I mean, Kair can try to burst down Mel, but all Karis has to do is press W, and that combo is completely null and void, as Kassadin would say. So it's a difficult lane for Kair, but we need to see some attention starting to be paid toward it, because Zhuo and Guwon, for all of the shoving that Karis has done in this 1v1, we have not seen any interference come through from the Thresh or the Malphite, and they have been level 6 and have had time to roam for quite a while now.
Yeah, I am super surprised by that. His hold on flash hook. Could be problems for Zhuo as Monki is on the way. He'll flash over the wall, getting knocked up, but he gets to the blast cone. Will there be a turnaround hook? Not going to land. Take the blast cone over the wall.
They're going.
Does have that ultimate. They want to go fight over this crowd. About an awesome 1v1ing.
Oh,
ultimate
no.
does not hit About, but About is still in trouble. Moonlight Vigil is eaten by Guwon, and now it's Assum trying to reset and do things. Zhuo in trouble. There's Kair over the top with Between Worlds. Yaoyao's in trouble. Karis has to retreat to the safety of the turret. It's NIP cleaning up that fight.
And it is Guwon. Even though he doesn't land the ultimate, he still gets plenty of gold. And Assum, with the resets, comes up big. NIP, it was a bit of a sloppy start, but they win out the fight. And the gold going over to these carries is the most important part, Yanni.
No doubt, Kair being able to get that kill means that we're a little bit closer in gold differential. Let's take a look at this replay. I mean, you know, Team WE, at this moment, you have to realize, all right, we have to, like, cut and run, give this crab up.
Yeah. I mean, it's also just that About really had no way to enter this fight. He pops his ghost, and even though the ultimate doesn't hit, like, he's so far away from the rest of his team, he just gets picked off, and this is ideally what NIP want to happen, right? You get one tiny reset, and then you transition it into a big fight where Assum is accelerated, where Kair can get resets on his invisibility, and that's exactly what happened. They find one target, they transition it into the rest of WE, they win out on the fight, and more gold just going into the coffers of these damage members for the NIP squad, and no objective for a while, so it perplexes me why we would be fighting here, but it looks like we might.
Okay, we're going to go after Zhuo, but a big double flay. About's got red-white, so that might be the reason for the fight. Guwon sticking around, going to get rooted up.
Oh,
Hook goes down.
no, Zhuo, come on.
Jinx. This is a problem. Assum is dead. It's a shutdown for About. There's the root onto Guwon as well, and the Golden Eclipse getting Karis' first kill of the game.
And I mean, that's just unlucky. Zhuo moves out of the way of the dredge line. Yaoyao hits the 80 carry of NIP. And Assum, deja vu, flashbacks to game number 1, where he got picked off in a moment that he should not have. Team WE win the fight, get back in control of this game, and most importantly, Yanni, it is mid lane turret destroyed, so a lot more control going their way as Monki dodges out. the Rocket. He takes a lesson from Arcane Season 1. The ending, not going to be his fate.
And take a look at this replay in a couple of moments right here. Oh, the misery going to be coming shortly.
Let me see this.
This is a good play.
Yeah, so Zhuo, I want to see him move out of the way because he's blocking and then looks for a death sentence. I think onto Monki. It just doesn't end up panning out. I can tell you exactly
what happened there. He was looking for Monki, but as soon as he saw the hook from Yaoyao, he redirected his hook because there is a chance that he grabs Yaoyao in flight, and that'll prevent him from using the ultimate on Assum and get Assum out of there. The Thresh main, by the way. I would have done the exact same thing. High level Thresh main. Anyway, Ricktown getting started up. Monkey says,
Monkey's just
time
right
to make
there.
some monkey business happen. It's going to be Herald going over to NIP. Hook going in onto Yaoyao, and he's not going to be able to go out with those choppers. But downtown, the Moonlight Visual. Meanwhile, on the top side, Cube's in trouble. He slices the back line. It's good damage, but it's just not enough. A bounce up too far, and he falls to NIP. Taking the game back in their hands.
And WE didn't really have any setup around that objective. They go into the topside river late. NIP are just there with the superior setup, and Assum reaps the rewards yet again on this Jinx. The resets are just too strong in these early to mid-game fights, and WE are not respecting that, Yanni. They go down, and it's just a back and forth between these two teams. One team wins a fight, then the next wins a fight. It is a seesaw pattern here in game number 2, and frankly, I'm all here for it.
It's just a more effective flank coming in from Karis. Shoves away About and Karis, your two carries. Now, obviously, you've got some damage out of Cube and Monki, but they're not the feature carries of this composition.
Yeah, I think that it's really difficult for Monki to maneuver around a lot of these fights, especially as the game goes on. You're very short-ranged, and when you want to go for damage, you're going to have to walk up to this comp, and walking up to this comp is going to get progressively more difficult for him. So I feel like this Trundle, we talked about and praised the effectiveness it could have in the early game, but it's very clear that this pick was on a timer, and that timer is very rapidly starting to wane. It's very close to completely striking zero. And now Zhuo hooking Monki, but doesn't throw the Dark Passage out until now.
Well, Assum's getting the reset. That forces Monkey's flash over the wall. Guwon's there to follow. Super Mega Death Rocket picks up the kill as well as NIP are starting to roll.
Yep, and now teleport here from
the risky teleport.
Safe face. It is definitely.
Hoya's
going Mega.
Go for a hook. Look for a big play here. About is able to free hit, but there's nobody left alive. Care coming through with that ultimate. The turret will finally fall, but it's an ill-fated defense by WE that does not work out.
Yeah, I mean, Hoya was about to go Mega. That was a very ill-timed teleport. NIP, they get the tower. They maybe weren't expecting more kills along with it, but hey, they'll take what they can get. They are now in pretty firm control of this game. Up 2 dragons, around 3,000 gold. And most importantly, a lot of that gold going on to their carries. It's split evenly, but I'm looking at that 1.1k gold lead from Assum against About. This Jinx is really set up for success. It's just a matter of can Assum put it over the finish line this game.
He's up so far with nobody around him. There's no CC to actually stop him, but to lose out on the crowd. And Quax, if there is ever a game where WE will lose while down gold at 20 minutes, it's got to be this one, right?
Surely, as Guwon.
Oh, this is a problem.
Goodbye, About.
Yeah, About just has nowhere to go. It's another kill for Assum. It's his 4th of the game. Meanwhile, up on the top side, Hoya will flash away. Teleport coming in. Karis, though, looking for the chase. Golden Eclipse gets it done.
That's pretty bloodthirsty. I mean, Karis expending that flash means that Guwon has his sights set on more than just the affiliate. So Zhuo has to flash.
Yeah, this could be a problem. Monki
There's on the area. It's 3v4.
Up there's Cube. Assum's got to flash away, and that means that Zhuo was hung out to dry. And now they're going to look for Guwon next, taking a bite at a crime as Monki as they chase him down, land the hook, and the rest of the team is there to take out Guwon. It's a double for Karis.
And now Karis is somehow 5-1. I mean, this Mel is super far ahead now. Is going to back with a ton of gold in her pocket. And really, I think WE needed this. They needed someone that was capable of challenging this Jinx. They needed a carry of their own. And it seems like WE's mid laner is going to be that guy. They may have just found a window to accelerate themselves, but I feel like for NIP, that mid play, they probably just weren't expecting WE to immediately go for a flank into the mid lane, to look for them in that mid lane, and they were down numbers and just had to get away. Assum, I think, crucially, did manage to escape that fight, so the Jinx stays alive and is still very much in control of this game, at least from the side of NIP, but WE now have a lot more firepower with how fed Karis is.
Yeah, and I can't fault NIP for thinking, well, Karis has no ultimate. There's no way they're going to try to flank us, right? Well,
yeah.
This is the LPL, and as I always say, teams will fight over a ham sandwich, Quax. And there have been plenty of ham sandwiches to go around in this match. 20.5 minutes into this game. It's a 2,000 gold lead for NIP. We did say that Karis was doing so well this game up in CS. He just needed to get some kills funneled in. He's getting these kills finally. He's on 2.5 items. He's starting to really deal some damage.
And Yaoyao and Monki, you talked about it earlier, Yanni, but trying to link up and look for any kind of picks that they could possibly find. And they do look onto Care, just trying to get something onto the Aurora. But I like this so far. I mean, we've got a little bit over a minute until the Dragon, so it's just about trying to set up for those side lanes. But one thing I really want to be paying attention toward is the Gnar in Mega Form. You can see he's in it now, but he's going for a reset, so that bar is going to be completely dropped back down to 0 if he can catch these incoming waves that Cube is just clearing up toward his tier 2. And if he can be Mega by the time this Dragon spawns, I think NIP's chances of winning this fight are going to be a lot better. But if he is, if he's Tiny Boy, then I feel like this might be a different story.
NIP's massive mistake from game 1, in my opinion, was not waiting for Assum to get that Infinity Edge before fighting. We're at a very similar point in time. 30 seconds till this Dragon. Assum building that IE, doesn't have it yet. If he's not able to get it before this fight, if you're NIP, you are taking another huge risk.
About
if you
has
say
it
we'll
as well.
fight anyway.
I mean, About has his Infinity Edge as well, so I feel like this 1.5k gold lead for Assum is, I don't want to necessarily call it fake, but I do think that it is significantly closer than the screen would have you believe. Yeah.
That's the big thing about these late game carries, is they have to hit those spikes. No vision for the side of Team WE. They can only see Zhuo for the moment. We'll see if WE want to go over to this Baron. About does not have the white gun, so I don't think it'll work as well as they want. Assum and Care will take care of the rest. Super Mega Death Rocket just to scout things out, as it is sole point for NIP. Will we see a fight break out? Guwon looking to front line, looking to find these targets. He's got his flash available too. Looks like both teams will back off. Cooler heads prevail.
Yep, they're gonna disperse for the time being, and really smart decision there from the Jinx, as now WE are gonna just go straight onto the Baron anyway.
Yeah,
Cube,
we have red-white now.
Yep, we have red-white. Cube is in the area. You can see he still has that shield for about 10 seconds more. He can look for a flank.
All right, there's
Dominus
flashes over the wall, just trying to get onto key targets, but he can't. Assum, good repositioning, hook onto Cube, and there's Hoya on the backside. Go on with a big ultimate, as red-white won't be able to save you. About hook to Yaoyao. Karis finds a kill. Yaoyao's still in there, but Monki has let him go, as well as Karis. It is a one fight for NIP, 3 for 2.
And it's the flank, it's the subjugate, it's the effort there by the WE top side to burst down Guwon before he can get that ultimate off in the fight, but it's not enough. He manages to go through with the unstoppable force. Hoya gets a massive entrance in there as well. NIP fight back. WE had really good positioning, but it ends up being a 2 for 2 at the end of the day as we go on to the replay. And yeah, I want to pay attention to Guwon here. So they lock him down as much as they humanly can, but the shove allows for the CC to wear off. Guwon gets About as the target, and I have to feel like if that unstoppable force didn't hit the Aphelios, About with red and white might have just been able to clean house. That was the big difference, I think, in this fight, was About going down when he did and allowing for NIP to advance themselves forward.
And that fight was the difference of top laners. Your Cube getting spotted out, getting absolutely denied. Assum was able to reposition for free with that Dark Passage, and Hoya using that Gnar ultimate to get to the back line to force a bounce flash out as the Baron has been started up by the side of NIP. Teleport coming in from Karis to join the rest of the team as they know this is going on, but it's getting ripped apart by Assum. You got to get close, WE. What are you going to do? We're looking to go in. They are going to secure it. There's the Malphite ultimate on the backside.
Oh, Guwon!
About to get and blow him out instantly. Karis and Monki desperately trying to fight out of a corner, but they just can't. Monki's got to flash away, and NIP are in full control.
And Guwon plus care. I mean, it's the ultimate from the Malphite, and it's the ultimate from the Aurora. That the AoE is just too strong for Team WE. They all end up falling. The Baron is secured. NIP are looking to hand WE their first loss and take us to game number 3. One team fight, I think, stands in the way of them from being able to do that as we do get a replay. And yeah, you're just playing right into their hands. You're desperately trying to get into this fight. Guwon finds 2 crucial targets, and the Aurora damage is just too much at this point.
And it's so difficult, Quax, because your only engage tool is this Nautilus, and in most cases you're like, well, that's fine. NIP are going to go on us anyway, but when you're in positions like this, where Team WE are the ones that have to take actions, that means that when Yaoyao goes in, he's able to and liable to get locked up, and Guwon can find a priority target, and then you don't have any way to stop these carries.
Ooh, look at Monki.
I love where Monki is right now.
I'm wondering what he's cooking, though. I mean, the Renekton's on the other side of the map.
Yeah, Cube does not have this TP. This is a problem.
Yeah, this is an issue because Hoya does. He can join up for this fight, and not to mention, he's on the tier 2 mid lane, so you're kind of on a timer to make something happen. He's just going to reset. Plan foiled, and they don't even know they foiled it.
It's tough when you don't have that teleport. Cube's teleport going to be up very shortly as the siege is on here on this bottom side. More plates going into the pockets of NIP as their gold lead nears almost 6,000. Karis is trying to get any chip damage he can on some of these targets. If you can whittle them down, maybe you can do something, but as long as NIP plays this out carefully, we'll be in a good spot.
Yep, NIP just slow and steady wins the race at this point. You've got the gold lead. You're in control of both bot and mid with a dragon. That being Soul spawning in about 25 seconds. You just have to kind of hold your position. Zhuo finds a hook.
We'll be able to hook the wall. That Thresh hook plus the Chompers is a lethal combination, and Assum and Zhuo have done a very good job throughout the game. If it's not rooting you, it's making you divert your path.
Yep.
So that could have been what really opened the door into the base of Team WE, but it's not for the moment. Baron gonna expire in about 10 seconds. Soul now up for NIP. And it doesn't look like Team WE are very interested in it.
And about is, you know, he's going places. I don't know where he's going.
He's doing cardio right now.
Yeah.
He's just trying to find camps. He's trying to find anything to get gold shoveled into him to try to be the carry that Team WE needs.
Well, he's got red-white now, so, I mean, you've got the correct gun combination if you're about, but the question is kind of, you know, is it enough at this point? He goes for a reset, picks up his 3rd item. That'll be LDR, which, all things considered, will definitely help against the Chemtech Soul particularly, but it just feels like NIP have the solution to this Aphelios at this point, and that's just Rock, you know?
Yep.
Rock beats Scissors, but Rock also beats Aphelios. They need to patch Rock. They need to nerf Rock.
The Chakrams can be Scissors, but yeah, I think About needs Gale Force. I think that's the only way that that he's going to be able to dodge out on this Malphite. Rest in peace, Gale Force. What a broken item that was, and I loved every second of it. NIP gonna
I think Guwon needs Duskblade, Invis version, of course.
Yeah, okay. And it looks like Guwon doesn't need that. Come on, he's got the defensive build going on. NIP continuing to siege as they've broken open the base, but no inhibitors quite yet. 29 minutes into this game. We'll see if they're able to continue.
And now, you know, no Baron buff does mean that the siege is halted for the time being, but I mean, when you've got this Chemtech Dragon, just send it, in my opinion. I feel like NIP, sure, you've got to contend with the Subjugate, but what's About no longer has red-white, that should be your green light to just go straight in there and really put a bow on this game, because I just feel like WE are so far behind. If you are stalling out this game any longer, particularly at this Baron, I feel like you're giving WE opportunities to, however slim they may be, come back in this game and find ways to actually meet you on the battlefield.
Well, Quax, it seems like it's a recurring pattern in a lot of these games around the world. The first Baron is what really gets your foot in the door to their base, and the second Baron is what really ends the game. So it looks like we'll be waiting for 50 more seconds. And again, we've talked so much about how these objectives are harder to take. Baron shreds you if you hit it now, so if NIP are not careful, it could be WE's moment to maybe find an angle back in the game. All it takes is one mistake. Remember, this WE team composition does have some damage behind it, does have a lot of late game potential too.
Yeah. Karis now has the arm guard, so can go golden if the situation calls for it. And obviously, we talked about it earlier, but about on 3 items. So there are pretty big item spikes here for WE, but frankly, I feel like there are even bigger ones here for NIP, as Guwon is just, he's in the trees, he's in the breeze, he's looking for any excuse to just ult somebody at this point. This Baron is up in a couple of seconds, and NIP should just look to rip this on spawn, as Hoya is the target, but I don't know
Monki's
about
on the bottom
this.
side.
Yeah. Hi, Monki.
He's on the bottom side of the map while this Baron is up.
Trade deal. I get Kron.
I mean,
you get Baron.
Well,
Thoughts?
About also gets this turret. Like, that is relevant. I mean, that is confusing, but I understand the thought process. Yeah. I don't like it, but I understand.
I mean, at this point, you really can't meet NIP as a 5v5 unit. It's just not going to work at this point. So them looking for a pick, it was a little bit silly because, I mean, Hoya was just legitimately under no threat there, but it's a desperation play at this point. Now NIP with Baron in tow, with your level 19 top laner, should really start to look and use this teleport from Gnar to, you know, start putting this game in its end stages. You've been ahead for a really long time. Just send it, my guys.
Yeah, and you know what? This is a good time to shout out Hoya. You know, he's had, you know, reasonable amount of impact in fights, but that one fight that occurred near the Raptors was really, I think, what put NIP heavily in the driver's seat. And this was a guy that, in this particular game, we had questions on how he would be able to perform staring down a Trundle when he's mostly a tank player. And, you know, I guess the best way to do that is to play a tank sometimes and a damage-based champion others in the same game. But he has done fairly well for himself. Very, very solid performance out of a top laner. You need to be solid in order to get some wins.
And Hoya in particular, you know, we talked a lot about Care being on the franchise organization for himself, which was FTX. Hoya's been a part of Thunder Talk for basically 3 years. So this is a guy who is in a similar boat to Care, where he needs to be standing on his own 2 legs. He needs to be putting up those performances because he no longer has the good graces of Thunder Talk to be able to say, oh, there's next split, there's next year. He needs to be stepping up to maintain his spot, to maintain his position as a LPL starter. He certainly is doing that this game. NIP have broken open mid lane, they've broken open top lane, and now they're looking for just these last 2 Nexus turrets.
Team WE are running out of space. We have red-white guns on about, but there's only 1 turret left standing. You have to do something here. You have to find a way to get NIP out of your base. Hook goes down on the Monki. He's in trouble.
Holy moly.
Look at Guwon patiently waiting, and NIP will hand Team WE their first game loss, and they're looking to maybe even handle a match loss.
WE, 20-minute curse of being able to come back regardless of circumstance has been broken. NIP are going to take us to 3. And Guwon, all the respect for that last play, he basically flashed in place. It's like if I moved from here to here, that was the distance his flash covered, and then he just ulted. Gamer move. Yep,
no notes needed there. You know, he did his job, right? There's not much to say when it comes to Malphite mechanics. He was put behind early a little bit, you know, taken off that level 6 early by Monki, but it was able to be resilient and just understood what he needed to do to make things happen on the team. Big shout outs to the bot lane of NIP this game. Assum and Zhuo really playing well together. I think that Team WE were not expecting the Jinx Thresh response, and it paid off perfectly for NIP.
And honestly, massive credit over to Assum, because in game number 1, you know, the ball was kind of in his court. He was looked at as the guy with that misfortune to be the one that gave NIP that first win, and eventually kind of had an incident where he choked it a little bit. He was the first domino to fall in a long series of dominoes for NIP that eventually led to WE winning that game. But he did a lot better here in game number 2. He got a lot of resources on the Jinx, and he held on to them in this game. So massive respect to him for kind of patching up that hole in game number 1 and being able to ride this ship to a victory in game number 2. Now the question becomes, will he be able to look at the sunrise in game number 3 here? Can NIP hand Team WE not only their first game loss, but their first series loss of LPL 2026, Yanni?
Quax, who are you voting for player of the game that game? Are you giving it to Guwon, who did what he had to do? Are you giving it to Assum, who was a big carry in some of these fights? Are you even giving a shout over to Zhuo, who, you know, helped with the repositioning of Assum? What do you think?